there, thanks for joining me. Today I am going to show you the layout I have created for Hey Little Magpie using the splendid storyteller collection from Vicki Boutin. The main focus of this layout really is the vellum paper. It's a foiled paper and has beautiful little collages in this circle shape, and I'm going to use that then as my sort of main background elements. And then there's also this gorgeous cut apart paper, which you can see the border at the bottom there. And really, you know, the design just does everything for you, so it makes it really nice and easy. The collection's got a really eclectic mix of elements and designs in there, which I think are really easy to use. So I've just picked up on those, and I'm just going to add my own little bits and pieces, just to make it mine and something a bit different. My first bit of focus really will be on that border piece at the bottom, which I think it's called the Memoirs paper. So you just cut off the strip, which you can see at the bottom there, and I'm just going to enhance that a little bit, just to make it a bit unique, as I say. But easy peasy scrapbooking, love it. So I think I'm going to ink the edges first, using a bit of black soot, distress ink. I actually prefer the distress ink to the distress oxide in the black. I find the distress oxide a little bit bluey grey colour. It's not black. So I do tend to go back to my old faithful distress ink for that. I'm just blending the edges just to give it a bit of definition. Probably can't see it on the finished layout, but it seems like a good idea at the time. So I use a number of different blending tools, but I still like these finger blending tool things that you get. They're great for just adding a little discreet edge to your papers and elements. And my black soot is really quite dry. I've had it donkey's years and never refilled it, so I tend to find that you can go direct to paper with the black. Otherwise I tend to dab off onto that acrylic square that you can see there, where I just tap off any excess ink. So I'll carry on just mooching around the edges just to give that a bit of definition. Although it's quite subtle, I do think it's an important step, especially with the Vicki Boutin. I think it just lends itself to that kind of slightly distressed look. So that's all ready to go. So I'll glue that into place, and then I'll want to add some stamping and some stenciling on top. So just to really give it something unique. And I also had intended to do some sewing, but my sewing machine broke. I wasn't playing along at all, so I had to kind of give up that idea, but it would have really benefited from a bit of sewing. So I've speeded up the next portion just because, I'm a quite slow scrapper, so I don't want you to be here all day. I'm sure you've got better things to do. So I'm adding on some stamps, love stars. And these are really, really old stamps from Pink Paisley. I've got 2 sets that came, and they're quite a big set of stamps, but they've got loads of beautiful little elements in, which you certainly can't get this anymore. So if you have them, well done you, because it is the best. So I'm just adding a few little bits and pieces, as I say, from this stamp set. I really like the borders and things, and this is really from 7 Gypsies, so equally as old. But it's a great thing about stamps, isn't it? They do kind of last almost forever, even the clear ones, if you look after them. So just added a bit of detail onto that, and I'm going to use a Bramble Fox stencil now. I think this is number 1, but I'll leave the links below so that you can, if you do want to have a look at them, you will find them easily. I love this stencil though, I use it all the time. You can see it's well used. I'm probably not the best at cleaning it up, which is why it's all mucky. I actually put some texture paste through the stencil there, but you'll see later I'll cover it up, so I end up having to do it again a bit further over. So I've fussy cut those vellum circles out of the foiled specialty paper, and you can see I'm now going to just arrange them on the background. So I kind of wanted to go with the circles on the left with my photo, and then I'm going to have another small cluster up in the top right, just to balance out the page a bit. The cardstock stickers are fab. Really good quality, and there's some foiling on there. There is loads and loads of stickers. I think I always find that in the Vicki Boutin collections. She seems to pack all her embellishments. So when you get the die cuts and the stickers and so on, there's just loads and loads on there. So they're actually great value for money. And you'll see, there's, when I finish my DT work, there's always loads left over to go, onto other layouts and things. And they seem to just go with lots of different things, so you don't have to stick with Vicki Boutin. You can just add them here and there to sort of all sorts of collections, really. I think I'm in love with this collection. I love the colours, the elements that are in there. There's just loads and loads to choose from. So anyway, that top right cluster, I've taken one of the little rulers from the cardstock stickers. And then I'm just going to layer up some little bits and pieces out of the die cuts. So again, the die cuts have got vellum elements in there, and some gold foiling. So pretty. I'm just going to pick a couple of things, kind of vintagey things to add. I'm just going to give them a bit of ink for definition. And incidentally, I kind of torch over it, but I also use that first stencil to add a little bit of ink definition, just to ground all those elements. So I kind of like to, rather than have things floating about, I like to ground them to my background. I'm just using one of the dictionary pages that I ripped out from another project, just to add a little bit more detail. And I found this little tin of stamps the other day, and I'm going to add some of those to that cluster, just because you can. Just bear with me a second. Right, just had to let my dog in, so hopefully he'll just sit through this. Otherwise you'll be able to hear him clicking about. So as I mentioned, I kind of decided to put a tag on that left-hand side. So I'd covered up all the little stars that I'd added. So I'm just going to rework those. And it was completely unnecessary, but I just really like the way it adds a little bit more texture to that border. I love the border itself, so I'm going to try and replicate that myself and do those on future layouts because it's so lush. So I'm just going to mount my photo. I've just used a bit of scrap pattern paper. You can see there it looks like crepe paper. Because you could hardly see it, I didn't want to break open a new sheet of paper. I've got loads of sheets of paper, but can't waste it. I've also stuck those vellum pieces down that you can see on the background, and I used just some Pritt stick, like glue stick, to stick that down, and I found actually that's the best way of sticking it onto the background. Dries clear, it dries flat, which is great, so it kind of really becomes one with that white cardstock. And I'm now going to use just a handmade stencil. So I've made a stencil out of circle dies of different sizes, and I am just going to blend some ink to the background. So this looks like distress ink again, in Tattered Rose by the looks of it, just to add a bit of, I just don't want things floating around, so I like to add some ink to the background, just to give it that grounded effect, even if you do cover it all over. So I'm just going to add. So I'm finding I've tried out some different blending tools recently, and these are, the one that I'm using now is for makeup. It's an oval brush for makeup, and they're quite cheap and cheerful. I think I got my original ones from Primark here in the UK. And I do find they're really good for blending ink. Not so much for edging because they're quite bulky, maybe the small ones would work. So I still like my finger daubers for the edges. But certainly if you want to blend a bigger area, those brushes are brilliant. So just check this is all straight. I've mounted the photo onto some funky foam type material just to give it a bit of height. I'm just going to add in a couple more of those circles that I've cut out. And because they're vellum, they're translucent, so I really wanted it to go over one of those inked areas so that when you look closely you can see through it. I think if you're going to use vellum, you definitely need to know that it's translucent. So I cut out one of the tags from the cut apart sheet. I think it's the sheet with the borders on it. And I like a little bit of movement on the page, and I think a tag with a bit of string coming off it kind of helps draw the eye across the page. It's nice and easy. And that bird I've fussy cut out of the songbird paper. So there must be, a couple of dozen birds on there, so that'll be fantastic for cutting out one night and then keeping in your stash, because you'll just use them all the time. Just going to glue that twine down. It's just a fab collection. You can see a second layout over on the Hey Little Magpie blog. So I create 2 layouts per month or per blog post for Hey Little Magpie. And the other ones are really quite different to this one. But it's, just such a versatile collection. Can't say enough how much I love it. I think I'm definitely going to need to buy a bit more. I didn't go mad with the papers because I always end up buying loads and loads of papers, but I did buy most of the stickers and ephemera. But, just in case I ever run out, I just might need to go and get a bit more. So I'm going to just do a little bit of embellishing. Now, I think my video cut out, so you kind of get a bit of an abrupt end to the layout, but I think I was almost done anyway, so I have no idea what happened on editing. It just kind of stopped and disappeared basically. So I used the sticker book there. So the sticker book has got some vellum pieces on there as well that looks like washi tape. Just really all the hard work has been done for you. Love that. So to finish off, I'm just going to add the last few bits and pieces. And I've also used the gold puffy sticker title from Crepe Paper Marigold, just to finish off, as I didn't buy the titles from this collection. So I hope you like it, and if you want to see more, then do head over to Hey Little Magpie blog. Thanks for dropping in. Hope you like it and subscribe. See you soon. Bye.